I'm sure if you're a parent of a player that has this issue, you are frustrated more than you can stand because it's a problem that is very hard to fix because it's an identity issue. No matter how many skills we put into certain players, no matter how much athleticism or great talent they have, if they don't identify as somebody who makes things happen, you will never see those skills come out. Do you know of a player who has all the skills in the world but hesitates every time they step on the court? A player that for whatever reason can't activate all of the talent and the skills that they have in order to make it work out there on the court. This is a huge epidemic that is plaguing players everywhere. Today, we're going to talk about how to fix it. Today, we're talking all about developing dog energy. Like and subscribe. So guys, I want to take my time today because as I mentioned in the intro, this is an issue that is plaguing players everywhere. Just look at any basketball game, any level, from YMCA to the NBA, there are going to be 2, maybe 3 actuators on any team. Most often 2, most often 1.5. There's always going to be somebody who's super aggressive, that takes the most shots, that makes the most things happen, whether good or bad. There's always going to be their sidekick, somebody who plays off of them and fits with them or is the yin to their yang. Sometimes there's a third person who gets involved in the action enough to become recognizable. Outside of that, everybody else on a court is playing off of these 1 or 2 actuators. If your athlete is not an actuator, it's not just because they're young, it's not just because they're shy, it's not just because they're lacking the skills, it's because they don't identify as somebody who's meant to make things happen on the court. I want to introduce a concept that I'm calling dog energy. What is dog energy? Dog energy is that energy you see when there's a dog on a leash, whether it's inside the fence, whether it's outside the fence, whether they're walking with their owner, and the dog is just trying to get at you. The dog is just trying to get off that chain. I wish I would have the opportunity to get off this chain because it's going to be on. This is the type of energy that we have to actuate within our athletes. And I'm not just a proponent, but I'm actually somebody who practiced this because I, as a player at the high school, college, and pro levels, was somebody who was otherwise pretty much a wallflower. Straight A student, honors classes, 3rd in my high school class, cum laude, college, law school, all these things. I was just a shy type of person off the court. But on the court, it was a completely different story. It took me some time to develop this dog energy, but by my sophomore year, I had mastered it. I remember family members and teachers and friends coming to games for the first time and being blown away by the energy I had on the court, thinking, that's not even Jason. Like, who is that person? Because in my everyday life, I never was that aggressive or that energetic. And for me, it came down to one attitude, one mindset, one prevailing thought. And that thought was, when the ball tips up, that person across from me is trying to eat me. Just like that dog on the leash, that dog that's trying to get off the chain, they want to do me harm. And the only thing I can do to stop them from doing me harm is to get the upper hand, to take the advantage. What I learned from that is I have to develop this mindset every time I take the court to eat or be eaten. And that's what dog energy is all about. I want to spend the next several weeks helping players develop dog energy. So if you're a player who has this issue or you're a parent of a player who has this issue, I need you to commit to meeting with me right here every Thursday for the next several weeks to talk about how we develop dog energy. Our very first lesson in how we develop dog energy called do something. Do something, right? It goes back to what I just said earlier about on the court, there are only 2 or 3 agitators or actuators who make things happen, who stir the drink. Everybody else plays off their actions or supports their actions. So how do we develop dog energy and ultimately become an actuator? We got to do something. You have to understand that your time on the court is severely limited. I don't care if you're a starter, role player, I don't care if you're a bench player, I don't care if you're a superstar, the time on the clock is limited and it's ticking. So you have to be used to doing something often. I mentioned that as a sophomore, I figured out dog energy. And one of the things that helped me was because I realized that there's only so much time on the court. And the more I can do within that time, the better my stats, the more I help my team, and the more value I was going to produce out on that court. So I literally had a time clock developed in my head where I needed to do something every single quarter. This changed from time to time throughout my career, but it was usually score 4 to 5 points a quarter, get 1 to 2 steals a half, get several rebounds, get deflections, get to the line so many times. All these things were important for me to do and gave me a sense of urgency. I'm somebody who tracks all of my players, so I go and watch them play, or I either watch their film and review it for them. And one thing that I've been harping on a lot lately is the fact that they just don't do something. They don't have a dog energy from the get-go. Now, there's another side of this because you could say, well, I'm not in a position to do something. I may be a bench player. I may be a role player. I may be somebody who doesn't have the responsibilities of scoring or handling the ball. And that's okay. Do something doesn't mean do something outside of your character, but it means play your role, actuate your role immediately. Immediately actuate what it is that you're designed to do. If you're a rebounder, get a rebound on the first couple possessions. If you're a defender, come out with energy, be aggressive, be physical, create deflections, try to get a steal in the first 1 or 2 possessions. If you're a ball handler, ball handle with precision. Establish your control on the game from moment 1. A lot of you already know I'm a trainer, I'm an athletic director, and I'm also a dad. And as such, I've got to introduce you to my very best friend. This is the Dr. Dish IC3 shot trainer. Whether I'm training a group of kids, buying equipment for my teams, or working with my kids one-on-one, this device is a trainer's best friend. First of all, it's portable. This means that whether you're taking it from the garage to the driveway or loading it up in your car and taking it to a gym space, this thing can go anywhere. Also, the net sets up in just a matter of seconds, and it has a great catch radius that'll catch over 90% of any ball you will ever shoot. But the beauty in this device is that you can stop wasting your time chasing rebounds. This device allows you to focus on your form and mechanics and not spend time chasing down balls. Focus your attention on what matters most. And I'm not just telling you about this deal, I'm actually giving you a deal because for our subscribers only, Dr. Dish is giving us $50 off the IC3 Shot Trainer. Just use code JP3Train at checkout. In addition to this, check out their website to get even more savings off the Dr. Dish IC3 Shot Trainer. Stop chasing balls. This is the little device that can change your life. So doing something doesn't necessarily mean go make a shot in the first minute, especially if you're not a scorer. Now, if you're a primary scorer for your team, absolutely. You should get a paint touch in the first minute of the game. You should get a look at the rim within the first possession or 2 of the game. Developing dog energy is all about doing something and doing it as early as possible. If you come off the bench, actuate right away. Do whatever it is you do in the first minute. If you sit on the bench, have dog energy on the bench. Be clapping, be talking, be vocal. Have great energy when you see great things. Pick your teammates up when you see bad things. That's somebody who is ready to be an activator and an actuator. And I promise you, if you develop that type of energy, even on the bench, a coach is going to give you an opportunity to play. One of my clients, we'll call him Drew, has gone in the last year from not making the varsity as a freshman, sophomore, and junior to, after a year training with us, he's made the varsity team, but he was sitting the bench for his first year. And we talked often about keeping the same energy, being a dog in your role, maximizing what it is the coaches want to see from you. And Andrew, even though he had some down days and was wondering why he wasn't playing, committed to this. And Andrew's a shooter, so he continued to shoot the ball well every time he got the opportunity, even if it was one shot a game. He stayed focused and created a dog energy around his role. And it wasn't long before, about midway through this season, Drew got an opportunity and he made the most of that opportunity. Drew's gone from somebody who didn't make the team to somebody who was sitting the bench on the team to now somebody who's a starter and a key player for his varsity high school team. And it's all because he led with dog energy. So I'm gonna be breaking this topic down more and more. Be sure to continue to follow us, like and subscribe. Check out our Dr. Dish IC3 Shot Trainer promo in the show notes, as well as any of the equipment that we use during our trainings. You can get the link to them in our show notes. Let's continue to develop this dog energy, because I promise you it's going to take us to the next level. See you next time.